Hello everyone and welcome to Wednesday. This evening we decided that we were going to record a First 20 together, and I really wanted to do Night Trap because we actually had it sent to us very recently by one of our viewers, Emily. We actually had, this was sent to us I think in April, but I just released the mail video today and we needed to do a First 20 for this week anyway, and I was like, Night Trap would be good because we've been wanting to do it. So I began the extremely long and involved process of setting up to record the Sega CD32X, which is a process. Let me show you exactly what it entails. First off, you need a Sega Genesis, a Sega CD, and a Sega 32X. Some of you are a little familiar with these, maybe you had them growing up, and you'll know that what kind of a pain they are. So how this works, the Sega Genesis sits on the Sega CD. This is the Model 2 Sega Genesis, and on the side it has a, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Here you go. There's a little port on the side of the Model 2 Sega Genesis, and they fit very nicely into the Sega CD. So you just put it on there, and it slides in, mostly. Okay, there we go. So now these are hooked up. And then you also have the Sega 32X, which goes into the cartridge port of the Genesis. And yes, there were games that required all of these things. There were games that just used the Sega CD, which requires the Genesis. There were games that just used the 32X, which also requires the Genesis. But there were a few games that require all of these things. So you have this crazy looking device. Now the other thing that sucks is that each of these has a power source, and they use those really big transformer plugs, which means that with a surge protector that has 6 outlets, it will not hold all of these because they're so big. So plugging this thing up is a huge pain in the butt. So after I got all this hooked up, I wanted to get some use out of the FrameMeister. So the FrameMeister is also here and hooked up. Basically what's happening, I'm going to try and explain this the best I can. The game that we were playing, which is Night Trap, is a Sega CD32X game. As far as how many of these there were, I think there's 5. 6 if you live in Brazil, but 5 otherwise. There's only 5 games that require you to use both peripherals for the Genesis. So you put the game in, and it's loading using both the Sega CD and the Genesis, but the motion video part is actually, it's being read off of the CD, but it's I guess getting help from the 32X to like process it. So what happens is this is sending all of its audio video stuff out into the 32X, and then out of the 32X into, red, yellow, white, or whatever it is you're using. If you have a Sega CD, you also have access to just RCA jacks on the back, which actually produce better audio than coming out of this thing. So I have got yellow, the image coming out of the 32X, but I've got the audio coming out of this and going straight into the Elgato HD60. So this is coming out of the Sega CD, and this is coming out of the FrameMeister. And the FrameMeister is just the upscaler we got a while back that converts picture to make it look somewhat better. So that was everything I had to hook up, and it was a huge nightmare. After I finally got everything hooked up, I started playing around with the game. I put the game in, and everything was working, but the colors were off. And I'm like, what the heck? What's wrong with the colors? And I tested some other 32X games, or CD 32X games, and noticed the same problem. CD games don't have the problem. And we only own one 32X game, which is Knuckles Chaotix, but I have no idea where it is. Otherwise, I would test that. But from all of my tests, I've concluded that either the 32X is bad or the cable that connects the Genesis to the 32X is bad. And I asked Roland, who is the manager at Player's Choice, because he's been around games now forever, so he knows all about this stuff. He said it's probably the cable, and I could just stop by Player's Choice and get a replacement cable, and it should hopefully fix it. He said when the 32Xs go bad, they tend to make a terrible noise because there's transistors in them that die. So hopefully it's not that. But what's interesting is that I didn't expect that the 32X was powering the video of the game. And I wanted to show this off because it's actually kind of neat. So right now, just to double check, the Genesis, which is hooked up to the Sega CD, is hooked into the 32X, and the video is coming out of the 32X. So I've got Night Trap in there. So I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to show you what happens exactly. This is going through the FrameMeister, so it takes a second to start up. And the colors are going to be a little off because there is something wrong. I'm still not sure what it is. So the colors right now are right, but there's like flickering, which should not be happening. But once we get started into the actual game, you'll see that the colors are not quite right. Alright, so what you're seeing right now, this is Night Trap. The colors are off, and you can probably tell because when we get close, it's like green and yellow, and it doesn't look right. And that's all of the stuff right now is coming from, I guess, the 32X. I guess entirely from the 32X. I'm not sure, but either way, something's wrong. Now check this out. We're going to turn this off, and I am going to take the 32X out of the equation completely, which means that the 32X is not going to be hooked up. We're just going to have the audio-video coming out of the Genesis. Watch what happens. So first thing, the colors are all perfect, and there is no flickering, which already is like a tip-off that there's something wrong with the 32X or the cable. But here's what's really cool, and what really threw me for a loop. After this, it's supposed to load up that screen with the Earth, right? The audio is coming through the Sega CD, which is why we can still hear this, but there's no video at all, which means that the 32X is what is powering the video. Now, if we keep going, it gets even weirder. Boom. Check this out. The colors on this are correct. That is what it's supposed to look like. It runs the gamut of colors. But the motion video that we saw before that was here is gone because it's all apparently being powered by the 32X. And when you take it out of the equation, there is no more video. It's just really weird. Like, I assumed that we would get no picture. Instead, we get the menus. So either the Genesis or the CD is actually processing the menus. The 32X is taking care of the video. It's just really weird. But I guess when the 32X is there, it's taking care of everything because it got the menu color wrong. Anyway, my 32X is screwed up, or the cable is screwed up, and hopefully I'll be getting that figured out because I was hoping to do Night Trap, for Friday, but I can't show it when it's green. Like that doesn't look right. So we'll get a new cable and see if we can get it out for next week. But yeah. These old systems are really interesting, especially the Sega CD32X, because it looks like a transformer. Like, there's so many things that got to be hooked up into each, and there's actually more peripherals for this. One of them I think is only released in Japan, is like a karaoke machine that the Genesis fits on top of, and it's ridiculous. Like, there's so much crap that fits into all these other things, but it's kind of neat, especially whenever it's, at this point, like 20 years old. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you've ever had a problem with your 32X, let me know. Although, since that's probably such a niche group, let's say, and open it up just a little bit wider, who has a 32X? Do any of you have them? Because they're kind of a rarity. Player's Choice doesn't even have another one right now. So if something is wrong with mine, I can't replace it at the moment. But they don't come into the store very often. They're dinosaurs. They're extinct, and they're very hard to find. You can still get Genesis. Sega CDs are a little bit harder to find, but 32X, man, you don't really see them anymore. That's going to be it for today. Thanks for watching. I guess I'm going to have to do something else for First 20, so I'll figure that out. And as always, let's meet back tomorrow, shall we? Congratulations for surpassing 100,000 subscribers on Stephen Place. Very neat. And it's already like in a frame, so you can like put it on the wall.
There's already cat hair on it.
How is there a... That's impossible. We just opened the box. See, there's someone behind this door. LOL.
You can get away with this?
Well, you did.